Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage? For some background, I, 29 female, and my fiancé, 30 male, have been together for 10 years. We had a baby in 2020, and I lost my job around the same time. Our apartment lease ended, and my grandma offered to let us move in with her. We essentially had our own little apartment, rent-free. I had mentioned the idea of going back to school, and everyone agreed it was a good idea. My fiancé paid for it, and my grandma watched our baby while I went to class. I'm graduating this semester. I did part-time for a few semesters. My fiancé has been earning $90K a year for the past couple of years and made $70K when we first moved in. He saved a good amount of money. We agreed to wait to get married until I finished school and we could buy a house together. We've been seriously looking at houses over the past couple of months and finally found one we both love. When we started talking to a mortgage broker, he dropped a bomb. He would be the only one on the mortgage and the deed. He said I wouldn't be included at all. I didn't say anything during the meeting, but afterward I told him I thought we were buying a house together and that I expected to pay half the mortgage. He said I would be paying half, but my name wouldn't be on anything. I pointed out that would mean I'd have no legal rights to the house, and he said he knew. He said since he saved the 40% down payment, it was only fair that he had the rights to the house in case we broke up. I told him if that's what he wants, then I'm not paying the mortgage. I said this doesn't feel like a partnership. If he wants his own place, fine, but I'm not contributing to something I have no ownership in. He called me a bitch and said he's paid for everything the past few years, including my schooling. I told him I stayed home with our child so we didn't have to pay for daycare, which ultimately saved us money, especially since I would have only been able to work part-time. He said he didn't care and that I still needed to pay half, since I had already agreed to it. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay the mortgage? Originally, we were supposed to live with my grandma for just a few months while we saved for a new rental. I thought going back to school might be a good idea to increase my future income so we could eventually buy a house. My grandma said we should stay with her until I finished school to help us save for a life together. My fiancé and I agreed we would buy a house together. He paid for my schooling because we were getting married, and the student loans would have been our problem, not just mine. He encouraged me to finish my education so we could give our child a better life. Edit 2. For those saying my schooling cost more than rent, it didn't. In total, it cost $17,000 across 5 years. Thank you to everyone who commented. Many of you offered great insights and support. Even those who weren't supportive helped me understand my fiancé's perspective, though some comments were incredibly misogynistic. To answer a few questions, my grandma offered us a place to stay when I lost my job and we had a baby during lockdown. I brought up finishing my degree and my grandma offered to watch my baby during classes. My fiancé said he'd pay for it since we weren't paying rent or daycare. He called it an investment in our future. If I wasn't in school, my grandma wouldn't have allowed us to stay long-term. She did this to help us build a better future. She wouldn't have made the offer if she'd known what my fiancé planned. Update. I told my fiancé we needed to talk. I asked why he suddenly changed the plan. He said he worked hard for his money and didn't want to lose everything if we got divorced. I told him that was fair, but by excluding me from the deed, I would be the one losing everything. He said I didn't save the down payment, so the house should be his until or unless I matched the 40%. I asked if he'd consider a prenup that would protect his 40% down payment while splitting the rest of the equity 50-50. That way, his investment would be safe, and I'd have equity in what I'm helping pay for. He said he'd think about it, but didn't like the idea of having to sell if we broke up. I told him if that's how he feels, then he should buy a home on his own. Realistically, he could barely afford this place alone. I doubt he'd be approved for the loan. I also mentioned I wanted to do couples therapy before we got married. He said no, that we didn't need therapy and I just needed to listen to him. That ended the conversation. I don't know who this person is. This isn't the man I had a child with. The man I knew used to massage me every night during pregnancy, listen to everything I said, treat me with love and respect. He was the only person I wanted in the delivery room. He used to say he could never hurt me because it would hurt our child. I love him. I don't know what changed. Update 2. Thanks again for all your support. It's been incredibly validating to know I'm not alone and not wrong for refusing to pay half the mortgage without being on the deed. Anyway, tonight we talked again. He said he didn't want to do the prenup. So I made a final offer, couples therapy and getting married before buying a house. I suggested getting a rental while we figure things out. He refused again, said he didn't want to waste money on rent. Then he said I'm not entitled to his money and that he won't buy a house after we're married because I'll just win it in a divorce. I said fine, then we won't get married. He asked if I was breaking up with him, and I said I wasn't sure, but I needed space. He lost it. Called me a bitch and a gold digger. Said I owe him $30,000. No clue where that number came from, and told me I'm used up and no one would ever want me again. He ranted and yelled for 3 minutes until my grandma told him to leave. He's staying in a hotel and has been calling nonstop. Left some angry voicemails. I feel numb. My baby is confused, asking why I'm sad and where Daddy went. I hate this. To those who suspected he got into red pill content, you were right. I checked his YouTube. Joe Rogan, Fresh and Fit, Just Pearly, Things, Aiden Ross. Yup. He's fallen down the manosphere rabbit hole. The man I loved is gone. There were signs I didn't notice before, always calling it his money, saying he was buying the house, referring to himself as the man of the house. He became obsessed with being a provider and protector. It's all clicked into place now. His behavior started changing around 8 and 9 months ago. Update 3. Many people have asked for an update, so here it is. A few days later, he texted and asked to meet. I agreed and left my kid with my grandma. We met at a coffee shop. He started with an apology, said he drank too much and lost control. He asked if I still wanted to get married. I said no. He asked to move back in so we could work on things. I said no. He offered couples therapy. I said I'd think about it. He asked if I ever loved him. I said yes, but I can't take the woe is me act anymore. I said if I didn't love him, I wouldn't have had a child with him. I told him he needed individual therapy before I'd consider couples therapy. He got angry and said I needed therapy more than he did, and he wouldn't go without me. Then he stood up and said he's going to fight for full custody and that I'd never see a dime from him. I assume he meant child support. Since then, he's tried to take our kid without warning. My grandma's lawyer friend warned me that without a custody agreement, he could legally take the child across state lines, and it could be really hard to get them back. So I didn't let him take our kid. I told him he's welcome to visit, but he's not leaving with them until we have a custody arrangement in place. My grandma says we can stay with her as long as we need. I got my child into daycare. That's where things stand. I'm hoping we can sort things out without court, but we'll see. What do you think? Was she right to refuse to pay the mortgage if her name wasn't on the deed? Or do you think her fiancé had a point about protecting his investment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you would do in this situation. And if you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching.